For 2,000 years, Egypt's greatest port was a legend. Then a diver's lamp found a granite god lying face down in the mud. In the year 2000, a French diver named Frank Goddio was working a dark bay off the Egyptian coast, following a magnetic anomaly. 7 meters down, in water the color of old glass, his lamp caught an edge that was too straight to be natural. It was a wall, then a fallen column, then a granite colossus, 5 meters tall, a pharaoh face down in the mud, where he had been lying for 2,000 years. Goddio hadn't found a shipwreck. He had found a city, with its temples, its harbors, its statues, and its name still attached. The Greeks called it Heracleion. The Egyptians called it Thonis. For 2 millennia, it existed only as a rumor in old texts, a place scholars suspected was legend, or 2 different cities entirely. It was neither. It was one city, whole, 4 kilometers offshore, under the fishing boats the entire time. Before Alexandria existed, every ship entering Egypt from the Greek world passed through one place. Thonis-Heracleion sat at the canopic mouth of the Nile, straddling the border between sea and river, and it worked like a lock on the entire Egyptian economy. Customs were collected here, cargo was weighed here. The excavations read like an inventory of a boom town. More than 70 sunken ships in one harbor basin, 700 ancient anchors, bronze weights, coins, and amphorae from across the Mediterranean stacked where warehouses once stood. And it mattered for more than money. The temple of Amun-Gereb at its center held ceremonies tied to royal succession. Pharaoh's legitimacy passed through this city. When Herodotus tells the story of Helen of Troy sheltering in Egypt, he sets it here. This was not an obscure harbor, it was a gate of the ancient world. But the best part of this story is not that the city was found, it is what it looked like when they found it. So how does the busiest port in Egypt disappear so completely that history loses the address? Not the way you'd guess. There was no single cataclysm recorded, no Vesuvius, no eyewitness account. The city simply stops appearing in records around the 2nd century BC, about the time Alexandria's rise made it redundant. And then the geology finishes the story. Heracleion was built on what engineers today would refuse to touch. Compacted clay and silt islands laced with water channels at the edge of a delta. Under load, granite temples, colossal statues, waterlogged clay can liquefy. An earthquake, a severe flood, even the slow weight of the buildings themselves could trigger it. The excavators found the evidence frozen in place. 60 tons of granite wall collapsed in one direction, in one event, with the temple's ritual objects still where they fell. The land under the city turned to liquid, and the Mediterranean closed over the roofs. By the 8th century AD, nothing was left above water. Within a few more centuries, nobody remembered where it had been. And what the silt was hiding is stranger than the sinking. What makes Heracleion unlike almost any other ancient site is what the silt did next. It sealed everything. No quarrying, no rebuilding, no looting. A city interrupted, then vacuum-packed. The finds are absurdly intact. A black granite stela 2 meters tall, commissioned by Pharaoh Nectanebo I, legible to the letter, including the line confirming Thonis and Heracleion were the same city, ending a scholarly argument that had run for a century. Gold plaques, ritual barges, a ceremonial boat graveyard, perfume bottles. The excavators estimate that after 2 decades of work, they have uncovered perhaps 5% of the city. 5%. The other 95% is still under the bay, streets, houses, and by every indication, the ordinary belongings of tens of thousands of lives we have no other record of. Every wonder pulled from Abu Qir Bay is a reminder that the sea is the best archive on Earth, and the worst librarian. Heracleion drowned quietly, a slow bureaucratic death. Then a geological one, with no invasion and no fire. The sea simply took the city and kept it safe. But around 800 years before Heracleion's temples went under, the entire eastern Mediterranean burned in a single generation. Empires that had stood for centuries collapsed within decades of each other. and Egyptian scribes carved the name of the enemy on temple walls. They came from the sea. Nobody has ever proven who they were. Historians call them the Sea Peoples. That story is next, and if tonight's mystery held you, a like helps more people find the deep past, and subscribing brings you a new story every week. I'll see you down there.